Hello and welcome to Brewers Daily, part of the Fan Arch Podcast Network. I'm your host, Dave Gasper. Lots to get to here on a Tuesday show. We're going to preview the Blue Jays series coming up here starting today. We'll also take a look down on the farm, get a farm report. Also talk about the bullpen here as things have gone along. But we got to talk about the big news of the day here that everyone's anticipating that we're going to find out about, and that is Christian Yelich. He left Sunday's game with left hamstring tightness. Pat Murphy told us after the game that they are most likely going to get bad news on Yelich's hamstring, which would indicate to me that an IL stint is coming. He said that there was some fluid buildup there, that he felt a twinge in his hamstring. They were getting an MRI, they were getting imaging on it, and we will find out more today here in terms of what the Brewers actually do. But in all likelihood, with the most likely bad news, it sounds like we're going to get an IL stint here for Christian Yelich. I mean, maybe there's an off chance that it's ultimately positive news and that Yelich only just sits for 2 or 3 days and then he'll be fine. I'm not anticipating that, but that is, I guess, still a possibility. But should the Brewers place Christian Yelich on the injured list, who are they going to call up? What are the options here for the Brewers to have? And ultimately, it comes down to 2 players. That's all we got, really, in terms of options for the Brewers to call up that are on the 40-man roster. Now, you may be thinking, okay, well, Tyler Black should be one of them. He's kind of a DH type guy, plays some left field. I would love to see Tyler Black get an opportunity here, but unfortunately, he was just placed on the IL for AAA Nashville the other day. So he's injured, so that takes him out of the running, which is very unfortunate because I really would have loved to see Tyler Black get a shot. I mean, he had a fantastic spring training, deserving of an opportunity. There's nothing left for him to do in AAA, but I guess the timing is just simply not right for this one. So that leaves 2 other options, Jefferson Caro and Cooper Pratt. Now, Jefferson Caro got the call up when Andrew Vaughn got put on the IL for a little bit there until the Brewers got Luis Matos. But he got the call, being that right-handed bat, to kind of help balance out there. With Gary Sanchez having likely to, he will likely play more first base with Vaughn out. They wanted that extra catcher. They wanted that extra right-handed bat. So they called up Caro. He got his debut in. That was nice. And they sent him back down once Matos got back in. I would imagine Caro would be the favorite for the call-up for this, just with that DH spot being the one that's open. Gary Sanchez being the team co-leader in home runs with 4, having done well in that DH spot. I would imagine we'll see Gary Sanchez get more of those DH opportunities as we go throughout here without Christian Yelich. And so that would open up a backup catcher spot for Jefferson Caro to step in. So that way Sanchez can DH and the Brewers don't have to worry about, should something happen to Contreras, that they would lose their DH for the rest of the game. They can still have that backup catcher. They can have that third catcher with Sanchez being the primary DH going forward. I think that makes a ton of sense for what the Brewers could ultimately end up doing. But also, on the other hand, you have Cooper Pratt, who the Brewers signed a $50 million contract extension with just the other day. So they signed him. They're paying him $2.5 million this season. Would not surprise me if the Brewers wanted to start getting some bang for their buck, getting him up here in the major leagues. It's not like Luis Rengifo is hitting the cover off the ball as the season's gotten started here. But I still would imagine that they would want to give Rengifo and Hamilton and Ortiz a little bit more time before they ultimately decide to make the move and go with someone else, and maybe give Pratt a little bit more time in AAA. He had been dealing with a minor injury, was out of the lineup for a couple of days, but is back in there now. So Cooper Pratt, I think, is certainly a possibility, but I don't think it's as likely a possibility as Jefferson Caro is for this spot should Christian Yelich need an IL stint. So we will find out today what exactly the Brewers do if they place him on the IL, who they call up to replace him, and how long exactly he will be out. Is this just kind of a 10-day thing, a 2-week thing? Could this be longer? We don't know. We will find that out today. Hopefully it's just kind of relatively minor, just a 2-week thing to have him out for a little bit, but we will find out, and we're most likely going to see someone get called up in the meantime. Now, I know some may be suggesting Luis Lara or some of these other prospects that are down there in AAA that have been off to great starts to the season, but they are not on the 40-man roster, so the Brewers would need to make a corresponding 40-man roster move, and I just don't see where one is right now. I don't see the Brewers, dumping any of their current position player group, DFAing any of them. I don't see anyone who really is, a candidate to be moved to the 60-day IL. Maybe Jared Koenig, if his elbow got worse, but the initial timeline for Koenig has him coming back well short of the 60 days. So unless something changes with Koenig's health, I don't see a 60-day IL placement for him. So the cleanest move for the Brewers would just be to call up one of their guys that's currently on the 40-man roster, and that is Caro or Cooper Pratt. So I think given that, it likely would be Caro. It just kind of seems to be the cleanest fit for this roster in terms of what you're going to do with Gary Sanchez, with Yelich out, and what you have for your catching need. So that's what we're likely going to see. But again, we will find out as it goes along. As much as we'd all love to see a Luis Lara, a Jet Williams, guys like that, it seems like this is the route that they would most likely have to go and just kind of stick with the guys that are on the 40-man. So I would put a Caro first and then Pratt ranked after that. But could the Brewers also maybe want to make some changes with the bullpen? Because that bullpen is starting to look a little wonky. I mean, you saw it really this past series, but especially on Sunday, Angel Zerpa, Abner Uribe really struggled in their opportunities, allowing a bunch of runs there after Brandon Woodruff exited the game. Then you got Aaron Ashby who comes in. Aaron Ashby has pitched in 9 of 15 games so far. 9 of the 15. He has gotten up so many times. I mean, he is absolutely this year's Nick Mears. 100%. He's just going to be the guy that is getting up in the bullpen every single damn day. It's ridiculous. His elbow is his arm's going to turn to jelly at some point. You just wonder when. When is it going to be? When is this going to give out? Because you can't keep riding this dude like this. No pause. Like, you have to give him some rest here. He has pitched in 3 of 5 days. You got to give him a breather here. As much as he can say he's ready, he's available to pitch any single day, you have to understand that he's not that superhuman. Okay, he's a really good athlete, but he's not that superhuman. So, you're having some struggles there. You got, again, you got Uribe that struggled his last time out. You got Zerpa that has been really good, but had a blown save on Friday, took the loss on Sunday, struggled there. I mean, McGill also, took the loss there. He really struggled on Friday as well. So you got to find some sort of help here, some sort of ways to make things work. And, they don't have much depth for that group, which is kind of the wild part, because we talk about how deep the pitching staff is. I mean, they're certainly deep in starters with what they have, but with Craig Yoho on the IL, Rob Z on the IL still, Jared Koenig hurt. You look at the bullpen depth that they have, they got nothing, at least in terms of 40-man roster spots. Their 40-man pitching depth are all starters. It's Logan Henderson, Robert Gaster, Coleman Crowe, Carlos Rodriguez, Shane Droman. Those are the guys that you have in AAA that are on the 40-man. So, I mean, you could put Droman or Rodriguez in the bullpen. I think Rodriguez's most likely ultimate home is the bullpen. I think they should make that move at some point here, because just with all the depth, I mean, there's no way he's going to make it unless, I don't even want to put that out there. But still, in terms of actual like bullpen guys, like one-inning relievers, traditional relievers that you have in AAA, you got none of them on the 40-man. You got Peter Strzelecki, you got Blake Holub, Brian Fitzpatrick, Will Childers, Jacob Wagspack. You don't really have a ton of great options there to go with, in terms of fresh arms. Arms that you'd like to give, some of those opportunities to. I mean, I'd like to see Fitzpatrick and Holub get a call, but I'd like to see Strzelecki back in there too. But still, what's the ceiling really with those guys? How much are they going to be an improvement over what you've been seeing? But I mean, you also just need fresh arms. You would really love to get Craig Yoho back. I'd love to see him out on the mound. Rob Z, you'd love to get him back as well. So I think they might need some help in that category because this bullpen is showing a little bit of signs of wear and tear. And Pat Murphy has talked about this too. He's talked about how last year with the team pitching so deep into October, riding a lot of these bullpen pitchers hard down the stretch, and that leaves more wear and tear on the arm, less time in the offseason to recover from it. So they've been trying to manage the workloads for some of these guys, and we're still seeing some struggles here in the early going as these guys try and get into mid-season form. So you'd like maybe a little bit more depth, a little bit more help there that you don't have. So that's where maybe that burnout, at least in the early going here, is weighing on these guys a little bit. And then also you have the starting rotation that you're going 5 innings. I mean, that leaves a lot of innings for the bullpen to cover. Brandon Woodruff being done after 6, when he could have perhaps gone 7, or at least 6 plus. Gotten another out or two to take away from that bullpen having to work. So you got those struggles as well. With the starting pitching trying to go deep enough into games because they also pitched a lot and didn't have as long to go in the off season. So it all just kind of combines into one big struggle here for the pitching staff trying to manage workloads while also not having a ton of bullpen depth down in AAA to really call upon them. And these are going to be your guys here for the foreseeable future. So that puts them in potentially a bit of a rough spot until Rob Z comes back and Yoho comes back and to add a little bit more depth to that group. All right, let's check in down on the farm now as the Brewers farm system is getting going. And just kind of starting at the lower level, happy opening day, Wilson Warbirds. Okay, they have moved from Carolina. You remember low A Carolina Mudcats for the past several years. They are now the low A Wilson Warbirds. They have moved a little bit to the east, I believe. Brand new stadium that they got, and they are finally going to have a home game. They spent their first 9 games on the road, which is kind of wild to me. Maybe they needed more time to get the stadium ready, but the Wilson Warbirds off to a 3-6 start to the season, so not great, but they are going to be getting some home cooking, and they're going to be opening up their brand new stadium. Sellout crowd is anticipated, so very happy for them, and excited to see what that group can do. So they've gotten some decent performances here early on from guys like Lewin Alastre, Jose Anderson, Handel Encarnacion. So they've gotten some opportunities there, some really good young players. But the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers are one of the more talented teams, I think, in this entire Brewers farm system. They're off to a 5-3 start to the season, and they have just been lighting it up. Andrew Fisher has done well. Luis Pena is off to a fantastic start. Just the other day, Luis Pena 3 for 3, a double, a triple, 3 RBIs in a doubleheader there. Daniel Dickinson 2 for 3 with an RBI. And I mean, just looking at the numbers on the season here as I'm pulling them up, Luis Pena so far this year hitting 500. It's 6 games, but still hitting 500, 10 for 20 with a 593 on base percentage and a 1243 OPS. Yeah, that's pretty good. That is quite good. 6 walks to 4 strikeouts. He's already stolen 5 bases. So that's very impressive. Pena and Jesus Made are kind of moving up together and regarded almost fairly closely prospect-wise. But then Made did really good when they got moved to high A. Pena struggled in high A, so Pena starts back there with Appleton while Made is starting in Biloxi. But Pena is showing he might be ready for the next level. Also down there or up there, I guess, in Appleton, you got Andrew Fisher, who is, he's hitting 214, but still, he's 6 for 28. He's gotten the most at-bats of anyone on the team. A double, home run, 8 RBIs already, but a 671 OPS and 16 strikeouts in 28 at-bats. That is not great. So they're going to have to fix that as time goes along. But Marco Dingus is doing really well, 1085 OPS. Taden Hall, an 1143 OPS there for the Timber Rattlers as well. And then you got the Biloxi Shuckers, who have a really, really good team as well. Dominant pitching staff and a really, really strong infield. Over there, Jesus Made is off to a fantastic start. He's hitting 359. He's got 8 RBIs, a double, 2 triples, a home run, and he's got a 1,008 OPS. You've got some actually really impressive OPS numbers in the pitcher-friendly Southern League. Included among them is Blake Burke. My God, Blake Burke has 6 homers. He had 6 homers in the first 6 games. He's hitting 289 with an 1161 OPS. Absolutely insane what he's been putting up. So it's a very strong group there in Biloxi. Very excited to see what they got. Jaron DeBerry had a great start the other day as well. He's got a 180 ERA across 10 innings over 2 starts here with 11 strikeouts. So really, really strong performance from him. And then looking up AAA Nashville, the one that's going to have the most guys who are going to help the Brewers this year. You do have kind of some good and some bad in there. Tyler Black, before he got injured, hitting 269 with 772 OPS. Luis Lara has been on fire, as I mentioned. He's hitting 367. He's got 2 homers. He's got 8 stolen bases already, 1,007 OPS. Just hitting absolutely out of his mind so far the first couple of weeks of the regular season. Also, Ramon Rodriguez in 7 games hitting 458 with a 1061 OPS. He's a catcher. He's not on the 40-man, but he is a catcher, and he had some really good numbers in Biloxi last year before a season-ending injury, and he's putting up some great offensive numbers once again. So you get some positives there from that group. And the Brewers have some solid options there to go with. Jet Williams hitting a $176, which is not a great start to the season. Over 13 games, 47 OPS. Brock Wilken has also struggled, hitting .067. Finally got his first homer the other day, but .067 with a 326 OPS. Wilken has really struggled to start the season up there in AAA Nashville. Cooper Pratt also not putting up the greatest numbers, hitting 182 with a 452 OPS. So he does have an RBI there, but has not gotten his first extra base hit of the season. Now, he was held out for a number of games. He has just 8 games to his ledger at the moment, but still, you'd be hoping for a little bit more. Same thing with Jefferson Caro, playing in 10 games, hitting a $171 with a home run, but 550 OPS. So it's not like he's been lighting it up much either, which puts him in a bit of a tough spot. All right. So now looking to the Blue Jays series coming up here. We know Jacob Misiorowski is pitching today. That is great, but we don't know who's pitching after that. That is still TBA as of this moment. So Pat Murphy told us, provided everything checks out with his knee, Brandon Sproat should get one of the starts for this series, but they haven't named him officially to that. But we got Jacob Misiorowski versus Kevin Gausman here today. Dylan Cease is going for the Blue Jays on Wednesday, and then Patrick Corbin is going to be on the bump for the Blue Jays on Thursday in that matinee. And the Brewers, again, TBD. We'll see what they ultimately end up doing, but I'm expecting Brandon Sproat to be pitching in one of these. Also, wouldn't surprise me if Chad Patrick ends up pitching the other game as well. He went the other day behind an opener and only pitched, he only had 50 pitches, so didn't really have a ton of wear and tear on his arm from that game, so I think we could see him there as well. But the Brewers, you're taking on the American League champions, a team that came within an inch of winning the World Series last season. The Brewers sitting at 8-7 off their 5-game losing streak, which definitely has stunk to watch. But also, the Blue Jays are currently in last place in the AL East at 6-9. Granted, they're only 2 games back, and the Yankees, Orioles, and Rays are all 8-7 in that division. So it's all kind of a jumbled mess here early on, but the Blue Jays haven't been off to a great start to begin the season either, which should make this series all the more fun as the Brewers try and figure out what happens with Christian Yelich, where they end up going from there, and what they want to do with their rotation. But it's going to be a fun series at the ballpark, and we'll be breaking it all down here on Brewers Daily, so be sure to subscribe, get notified every single time a new episode drops. Follow me on Twitter at dgasper24. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time for another episode of Brewers Daily.